Hi, I'm Marilyn San Clemente of Stamp with Marilyn, and welcome to my Virginia playground. I'm at my sister's house. I have been this week visiting since I just had my second COVID shot, and we haven't seen each other in a year and a half, so it's been a really nice visit. So what I want to share with you today is an overview of the new suite, Bloom Where You're Planted, which I just love this suite. It's very, very pretty, and there's quite a bit that you can do with it. So I prepared this sampler, and this is what the stamp set looks like. So it has lots of plants, it has pots, it has leaves, it has some really nice sentiments with it. And these are the papers that go with it. And as you can see, some of the papers have plants on them that you can cut out. And I'm going to show you samples of that. And there's also pots that you can cut out. And here's an example of a plant that you can cut out. And this is an example of another plant. And then this one down here is one that has been stamped. So with a cutout, and this has also been stamped. So what's really cool is this set has different leaves, it has different pots, and all these different sentiments. So you can create some really, really beautiful cards and things. So as an example, let me show you this. I'll move the sampler out of the way. And what I did was I stamped and cut out each of the pieces for this. There's a pot, but then there's also a pot that you can cut out with the dies. There's this really cool macrame hanging basket. There's a stand that I'll show you how to use. There's a couple of different cute little pots as well. So there's lots of different pots and things. And for each plant that you have, these are the stamped ones, and then these are the ones that I cut from the paper. So it's really cool because it gives you lots of different things that you can cut out. So there's also some leaves, there's a succulent here, there's this nice spiky plant, there's these snake plants. This one is stamped and that one's cut from the paper. So same thing, these are cut from the paper and those are stamped. So there's a lot that you can do with this set. And if you're into stamping it, you can stamp everything. If you want to just get the dies and the stamp set and the paper, then you can do everything using by cutting out the pots and things and making things with that. As you can see with this card, this is one of the cards that I made by cutting out the planters. And I cut out a plant stand using the dies, and the only thing that I stamped on this card was the You're Awesome, and that's from the Many Messages set. So that's my first card. So that's a quick and simple card. This is a card that I made using crumb cake, the cinnamon paper, and I made little shells, and here I stamped everything. I stamped the pots. These two pots are dies that you cut out, so you don't stamp those. And the spiky plant is also something that you can cut out. It's a die, so you don't stamp that either. But I used this pretty hanging succulent, and I just layered all the different leaves and things and different types of plants in the pot. So I really like that. And the other thing that's included in this suite are these beautiful kind of brass copper colored lattice pieces, and I can see using that with the ferns. I can see some really cool things with that. So with this particular card, again, I used the background paper. I used this brick to make it look like a brick patio. I cut the planter and the hanging planter out of copper paper, and these two pots are cut out of the paper, and then these are plants that I have stamped. And I use the Friends Forevers from the Many Merry Messages. And this is the Evening Evergreen, the new Evening Evergreen paper. And what I would do is put a piece of white on the inside and actually decorate the inside a little bit. And so that's my second and third card. And I forgot to mention on this card, I used the macrame background. So there's also this macrame embossing folder, which is beautiful. And that's what I used to make the background on this particular card. So there's lots of things that you can do with this set. And then the last card that I prepped was this really cute card. And I think this will be really cool with the window set that is in the current mini catalog and I know has carried forward into the new catalog. I don't have that set with me right now. So what I did was I just cut a window using a template that I had. And I embossed this paper using the brick embossing folder. And then I took a little sponge dauber and I just went over this with Sahara Sand ink to make the brick look like an off-white brick, but just to give the brick some depth and everything. So what I did on this card was, this is a Whisper white background, got 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. And the front layer is 4 inches by 5 1/4. I cut the window out and then I embossed this and decorated the brick on that. And then what I did was I cut out a lot of different plants and just played around with them. And as you can tell, some of these pots are stamped and these two pots are just cut using the dies. And then this one, the succulent, is cut from the paper. And these are plants that I cut using the dies and stamping the leaves and things. And I love this card. So I can't wait when I get the window set. When I get home, I have the window set at home. I was thinking about a really cool Z-fold card with this in the window set. And I just thought that would be really cool. And the paper also has this brick. It has this brick background. So that would be really cool too. You could do a lot with a Z-fold card and that window set, I believe. So I just want to show you one more here. What I have done here is I have cut a piece of crumb cake cardstock. This is 8.5 by 4.5, or 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. So the finished card is 5.5 by 4 1/4. I am using the brick background pattern, and then that has this pretty leaf pattern on the other side. So I'm just going to attach that with my seal. And what I did was I just cut a 1/4 inch piece of crumb cake cardstock to make some shelves. And what I was going to do was hang a shelf up here. And then I have the hanging pot. And I also have the plant stand, which I was going to put down here. So I just need to punch out the centerpieces here of the plant stand. And what's really cool about this plant stand is it does open up here, so you can slide this in. So it makes it look very realistic for a plant stand. So now I'm going to attach that, and I'm going to use my seal on the bottom part, and then I am going to use some dimensionals on the top part to make the plants pop out a little bit. So this is going to look like so. And now let me attach my little shelf. And what you do for this is you layer the pieces that you want to use with the pot. So we've got our planter. We'll put our blue pot behind that. We can add some leaves to it. Oops. Add some leaves, and then we could add that, which would be really pretty. So that's kind of a spiky hanging plant. And so let's put that together. So what I have been doing is I put a little strip of seal here, and I layer, there we go, my leaves like this. Oops, so I'm going to put that, there we go. And then I am going to add just a little bit of seal to the back of this to make that just a little bit sticky. Oops, more than a little sticky. Okay, and I'm going to put this over the macrame hanger over the plant. I'm going to move that leaf a little bit. Okay, and now I'm going to make it look like the macrame hanger is hanging off. There's a little shelf. So I'm going to, again, attach this with some dimensionals. So it has a 3D look. And as you can tell, I used Very Vanilla and Whisper White to stamp my leaves, giving them a little bit of a different look. There we go. So that's going to look like that. I think that's straight. And then I want to put the hanging plant on the front of that. The plant that drapes down. I love hanging plants. In fact, as part of COVID, I had a whole bunch of plants that I had outside last summer and had gotten quite large, and I didn't know what to do with them when I brought them in. So I put some shelves up in my family room and I made a living wall. And it drove the cats nuts because they couldn't reach the plants. But it actually, I found it's very relaxing to look at, and I love it. It's just great to have that wall. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, oh, this one's a little bit crooked. Straighten that out. Okay, now what I'm going to do is add, I'm going to put a little snake plant down here with a pot. Oh, maybe not. Maybe I'll put the snake plant. You know what? I'm going to put the pot up here with the snake plant. So what I did was I just put a little bit of adhesive on the back of the pot, and I'm going to attach the snake plant to that. And that is going to go right there. And again, I'm using dimensionals to make the plant stand out a little bit. Okay, there we go. And I'm going to put this pot down here just as a decorative, just a decorative little pot. Okay, so there's a quick and simple. And what I did, or what I like to do, is when I have a set like this that is made up of lots of little pieces, I stamp the pieces. Here, let me lay these out so that you can see some of these. There's some of the other cards. There we go. Is I stamp all the pieces in lots of different colors, and then I cut them out and I put them in a little baggie, and I keep that with the stamp set. And that lets me pull out pieces and make a card quickly when I need one. So thank you for stopping by today and checking out the Bloom Where You're Planted suite of products. I love this suite, and I think this is going to be one of my favorites. And as I said, I'm going to combine this with the Windows set, and then also the So Succulents that are in the current mini catalog, and those have carried forward, would be really pretty with this too. So I think that there's a lot that you can do with this set. So thanks. Have a great day. Happy stamping.